He rips the dress off his pregnant ex-wife in the middle of his own wedding, and the whole ballroom erupts as she collapses to the floor, clutching her stomach. Phones record everything. Guests scream, and the man who thought he was untouchable is seconds away from watching his perfect life collapse, because the moment his ally walks through those doors, the wedding turns into a real battleground of truth, power, and relentless justice. You won't believe what happens next. Leave a comment below so we can talk about it. The chandeliers inside the Royal Grand Miami Hotel gleam like suspended suns, pouring warm gold across the ballroom, as if blessing a perfect celebration. Violins play softly. Crystal glasses gently clink with every toast. Rows of white orchids line the aisle. Guests in designer gowns lean in with admiration as Ethan Davies, the powerful CEO in an impeccable tuxedo and a smile engineered for magazine covers, walks hand in hand with his new bride, Olivia Vance. Everything is so precise, so agonizingly beautiful. It feels rehearsed. It feels like the world is witnessing a fairy tale, until the doors swing open, a soft hush spreading through the room as Amelia Cole appears. She stands in the entrance with one hand resting gently over her 6-month pregnant belly. Her midnight blue satin gown catches the chandelier light and shimmers like liquid night. The off-the-shoulder neckline frames her collarbones with a quiet grace. She doesn't look like someone who came to cause trouble. She looks like someone who shouldn't have been here, someone who, by every unwritten rule, should have stayed away from her ex-husband's wedding. But someone from the Groom's family sent her an invitation. A cruel mistake, a trap, or something worse. Whispers immediately erupt. Guests turn in their chairs. Camera phones reflexively raise. Olivia's grip tightens around Ethan's arm. Her perfect smile falters. Amelia steps forward. Her movements are calm but fragile, as if each breath takes effort. She clearly rehearsed how to enter this room without falling apart. Her dark, straight hair is parted down the middle, framing her face like an unspoken apology to herself. She came dressed in dignity, not defiance. Ethan looks at her with a twisted smile. Something dark flashes behind his eyes. Then he releases Olivia's hand and walks toward Amelia with the casual confidence of a man who believes nothing can threaten him in a room full of money and cameras. He stops just inches from her. The music fades into a thin, uncomfortable silence. "What are you doing here?" he murmurs, loud enough for several rows to hear, trying to stage a scene. "Even at my wedding?" Amelia stabilizes her breathing. "I received an invitation. I thought you wanted peace." Some guests nod sympathetically. Her voice is soft, guarded, trying not to tremble. Ethan leans closer. "Peace, that's rich coming from you." She doesn't reply. Her hand instinctively shields her abdomen, an unconscious gesture every mother makes when danger nears. The sight of it sends a discreet wave of discomfort through the room. Then, Olivia joins them, gliding like a swan with the smile of a predator. Her sheer white mermaid gown gleams under the lights. She tilts her head with feigned innocence. "We weren't expecting you, Amelia, but you look lovely. Very brave of you to wear satin." It wrinkles so easily. Amelia tries to step back. Her heel catches slightly on the polished floor, and she steadies herself by leaning a hand on the nearest chair. A guest whispers, "She's pregnant. Leave her alone." Ethan hears it. His jaw tightens. What happens next begins slowly, silently. Nothing seems dangerous yet. He reaches out to Amelia with a long, firm movement. Like a man removing lint from someone's clothing for a split second, she thinks he is adjusting her dress, perhaps even saving her from greater humiliation. But his fingers clamp around the fabric along her neckline. Time stops. The violinists go motionless. A waiter with champagne flutes freezes mid-stride. Dozens of phones raise higher. Amelia whispers, "Ethan, stop." He pulls. A sound of violent tearing slices through the ballroom like a blade ripping satin. The midnight blue fabric yields instantly. It tears down across her chest and over her abdomen. The soft material crumples. It twists and opens under the force. The movement yanks her body forward, and she gasps as her hand flies protectively to her stomach. The entire room erupts in horrified whispers. Someone yells, "She's pregnant! Stop him!" But Ethan isn't finished. He grabs another section of the dress near her hip and pulls again, ripping an uneven diagonal tear that exposes the lining underneath. The dress that once hugged her pregnant belly with quiet elegance now hangs in ragged shreds. Amelia clutches the torn edges, but there is too much damage to hide. Her chest heaves in short, panicked breaths. Her knees shake. Her eyes fill with disbelief, not just from the pain, but from the sheer cruelty of what he just did. "You always needed attention," Ethan says softly. But the microphones placed around the ballroom catch every word. Now you have it. Guests remain frozen, unsure whether to intervene or watch the disaster unfold like a train wreck. Camera shutters click. Someone begins live streaming. The red recording dot shines like a warning light in the darkness. Amelia's breathing sharpens. Shock and fear tighten her abdomen. For a moment she hunches over. One hand on her belly, the other holding the torn satin that threatens to fall off completely. A doctor among the crowd whispers urgently, "Watch her. She could be having contractions." Olivia retreats, her expression caught between fascination and triumph. The bride's perfect white gown gleams next to Amelia's ruined midnight blue. The contrast is burned into the memory of every witness. One woman looks like a queen. The other looks like prey. Amelia tries to stand straight but stumbles, her vision flickering. Someone rushes to offer a shawl, but Ethan stops them with a raised hand. "Don't help her," he orders. "She came here to embarrass us. Let her enjoy the attention." The cruelty stuns the crowd. A soft whimper escapes Amelia. She forces herself to stand and meets Ethan's eyes. Her voice trembles. "You're hurting the baby." He chuckles softly. A small, cold sound. Your drama never ends. The guests finally break their silence. Murmurs rise. A woman near the front row yells, "Call security! This is assault!" Another voice adds, "Does she need a hospital?" Amelia tries to walk away, but her dress tangles around her legs. She nearly collapses, grasping a table for support. Crystal glasses fall and shatter. The sound echoes like a breaking bone. Someone shouts, "Stop recording and help her." Someone else replies, "No, keep recording. He needs to answer for this." Amelia feels the room spinning. Heat spreads across her face. She closes her eyes and for a moment wishes the cameras would disappear. But they don't. The ballroom is now a stadium. Hundreds of eyes are fixed on her, like an audience watching a public execution. Ethan moves closer. His shadow falls over her torn dress. He whispers, "Now leave before you ruin my wedding." She looks up, shaking, and realizes something important. The humiliation is complete. He didn't just want her gone, he wanted to destroy her. A sudden wave of dizziness forces her to grab her abdomen. Guests gasp. A glass falls from someone's hand. The room pulses with panic. And in that suffocating silence, Amelia's knees finally give out. She collapses onto the floor of her ex-husband's wedding, holding the shredded satin against her body. The music had long ceased, the ballroom illuminated with hundreds of flickering lights, capturing her pain forever. The cameras do not blink, and the world is about to see everything. The ballroom, moments before filled with music and carefree joy, now feels like a vacuum. Every sound has been sucked out. Only the echo of Amelia's fall floats in the air, vibrating through the marble floor. Her midnight blue satin dress, torn and hanging in twisted pieces, pools around her like a crushed, withered flower. The guests who came to witness a fairy tale now remain frozen inside a nightmare they cannot process. No one moves at first. It is the kind of silence that cuts the skin. The chandeliers still flicker above her, but even their light seems to dim, as if ashamed of what they now illuminate. Olivia's bridal bouquet trembles in her hand. Ethan stands over Amelia, with his jaw clenched, and an expression that masks panic with arrogance. No one knows who will speak first. No one knows who dares. A wine glass gently clinks somewhere in the distance, a fragile sound that breaks the paralysis. Then the whispers begin, low at first, then sharp, spreading like wildfire. She might lose the baby. He actually ripped her dress like that? Someone should call for help. My God, look at her. Amelia slowly lifts her head. Her hair has fallen across her shoulders, strands clinging to her cheeks where tears have run her makeup. She can barely breathe. Shock radiates through her body, tightening her chest, tightening her abdomen, tightening everything until she feels she might split in half. She presses the palm of her hand against her stomach in a desperate attempt to stabilize herself. A middle-aged woman near the front row finally takes a step toward her, but before she can get close, Ethan raises his hand, stopping her with a simple gesture of authority. His voice is sharp and dismissive. Stay back. She is overreacting, as always. The woman backs away, stunned by his audacity. Amelia tries to speak, but the words dissolve in her throat. All she manages is a silent plea. Please, I need to sit down. She tries to sit up, but her torn satin dress snags under her knee, tightening across her legs. The movement sends another wave of pain across her abdomen. She gasps, and several guests wince, as if the sound physically struck them. The violinists in the corner, still clinging to their instruments, exchange horrified glances. One whispers, "She's not acting. Look at her color." Another voice rises from behind the crowd. "Is her breathing normal?" Someone else replies, "No, she's pale." Too pale. Olivia approaches, though she keeps a safe distance from Amelia. Her immaculate white gown, untouched by the chaos beneath her, she tilts her head with a soft, poisonous sweetness. She is doing this for attention. She always wanted to ruin our days, even before the divorce. The cruelty is so blatant, it freezes the room a second time. Amelia's lips tremble. She raises her face just enough to meet Olivia's eyes. There is no anger in her expression, only a profound pain that makes several guests look away. Tears cling to her eyelashes. "I didn't come here to ruin anything," Ethan interrupts with a sneer. "Then why show up at my wedding, looking like that, acting like that?" A man near the aisle murmurs loudly, "She looks like someone who was assaulted." The word hits Ethan and Olivia like a slap. Their expressions change, not out of guilt, but out of fear. Fear of the implications, fear of the witnesses, fear of the hundreds of camera phones still raised. Ethan forces a cold smile. "This is ridiculous. She fell on her own. 20 people saw you rip her dress. Another 10 videoed it." Everyone knows he is lying. Yet, no one steps forward. Not yet. Not while the groom still controls the room with his wealth and influence. Amelia tries to sit up again, but her strength fails. Her palm slips on the marble floor, and she slumps forward. A soft whimper escapes her lips, thin and desperate. Her abdomen tightens again, and the pain spreads in waves across her lower stomach. Someone in the audience whispers frantically, "Those could be premature contractions. She needs a doctor." The temperature in this ballroom seems to rise. Sweat beads on Ethan's forehead as he notices the shift in the room. His authority is fading. Control is slipping. The narrative is dissolving. A waiter, barely 20 years old, steps forward despite the groom's authority. His voice trembles, but carries the clarity of simple human instinct. She needs help. She's pregnant. This isn't right. Ethan whirls on him like a wolf. Stay out of it. But the boy doesn't move. His hands are shaking. His eyes move from Amelia to the torn fabric, and then back to her small, painful breaths. Something in him refuses to obey. The silence that follows is thick with tension. Amelia's vision blurs. The golden chandeliers above her stretch into soft halos. She can hear her heart beating in her ears, fast and irregular. Her fingers press deeper against her stomach. She whispers to herself, a voice so tiny it barely exists. Please, stay with me. Please. The plea is not for herself. It is for her baby. Several women near the center rise from their seats. They approach her slowly, unsure if Ethan will charge again, ignoring the groom entirely. Sweetie, look at me. Can you hear me? Is the pain sharp or a tightening? Amelia weakly mouths, it's a tightening, it hurts. Someone gasps. Another person whispers, she's having contractions. Olivia scoffs loudly. Oh please, what an act! The crowd turns on her. Faces harden. Murmurs sharpen. In a matter of seconds, the bride becomes the villain of her own wedding. Ethan moves towards Amelia again. The women surrounding her instinctively shield her with their bodies. He stops, stunned by their defiance. His voice cracks with anger. Move. She doesn't need you. A man from the back seats yells. Clearly she does, and she needs an ambulance. Another guest stands up. Then another. A subtle shift spreads through the room like a rising tide. The groom's power is dissolving, grain by grain. Amelia tries to sit upright one more time. Her hand reaches for the edge of a nearby chair, but fails. The room sways. Her breathing becomes rapid. For a moment, she feels as if she is floating out of her own body, watching her dignity scatter across the marble floor, like the broken glass around her. Someone presses a cold hand onto her shoulder. You are not alone. Help is coming. But help has not arrived yet. Not the real help. Not the kind that will change everything. The silence thickens again. Guests look toward the entrance as if drawn by an invisible signal. Something is about to happen. Something heavy and irreversible. And in that suspended moment, Amelia feels another sharp tightening in her abdomen. She clutches the torn satin and makes a sound that slices through the room with more force than the fabric tearing ever did. It is the sound that finally breaks the wedding. And it is the sound that announces the storm coming for Ethan Davies. The ballroom is still vibrating from Amelia's cry when Ethan forces himself to move forward, attempting to reclaim the authority slipping through his fingers. His polished shoes hit the marble floor sharply, each step echoing like a warning. Guests instinctively move away from him, forming a crooked path that leads directly to the woman he once vowed to protect. Perhaps he doesn't notice their retreat. Perhaps he doesn't care. His face is tight with irritation more than guilt. The expression of a man more offended by an interruption to his event than by the suffering of the woman he harmed. He stops just a foot from her. Amelia lies partially supported by two guests, her midnight blue dress hanging in torn ribbons around her trembling body. Her breathing is erratic. Her hand remains clamped over her abdomen. She can no longer hide the pain. And she shouldn't have to. But Ethan sees only an inconvenience. Enough, he announces loudly, his voice echoing across the ballroom. She's fine. She's overreacting. She always does this when she wants attention. The crowd reacts instantly. Some gasp. Others shake their heads. A few exchange looks of disbelief. The lie is so brazen that even those who once admired him feel a crack in the illusion. The groom is falling apart. Ethan raises his hands in a gesture meant to look calm, but the tremor in his fingers betrays him. She fell. That's all. No one touched her. A man from the left side speaks up. "We saw you rip her dress." Ethan snaps his gaze toward him. "You misinterpreted what you saw." Another voice shouts, "I recorded it!" The silence hits harder than the declaration itself. Ethan freezes. His eyes dart quickly toward the cluster of guests holding phones. Dozens of screens reflect his face back at him, cold and incriminating. The panic that flickers behind his eyes is brief, almost invisible. But the room feels it. Still, he doubles down. "You people don't understand. That was not an assault. I was helping her adjust the dress. She tripped. The fabric tore on its own." The absurdity is almost unbelievable. Guests stare with a mixture of disgust and shock. Someone murmurs loud enough for others to hear. "If that's adjusting, then gravity must also be adjusting." Amelia lifts her head. Her vision is blurred, but her hearing is sharp. Every lie slices through her like glass. She gathers the strength she can and whispers, "Why are you doing this? Do you know what happened?" Her voice is soft, but the room hushes to hear her. Ethan leans slightly, lowering his tone as if speaking to a child having a tantrum. "You're embarrassed. I get it. But don't turn this into something it isn't." Amelia's eyes widen, not from fear, but from the realization that he genuinely believes his power will shield him from the consequences. He expects the world to bend to his version of events. It always has. A woman kneeling beside Amelia looks at him with pure disbelief. "She's pregnant. She's clearly in pain. Show some humanity." The groom straightens up, adjusting his tuxedo jacket with a sharp tug. Humanity. An interesting word coming from strangers who don't know the situation. Someone near the back yells, "We know enough!" The tension snaps again, tighter and sharper than before. Ethan realizes he's losing control of the narrative, so he changes tactics. His voice softens, coated in false sympathy. "Amelia, let me help you up. Come on, you need some fresh air." But when he moves toward her, several guests move at once, blocking him. A wall of bodies rises between him and the woman he harmed. The gesture is instinctive, protective, and devastating to his ego. His expression darkens. "Move. She's my ex-wife. I have every right to talk to her." The waiter from before steps forward again. His face is pale but determined. "You lost that right when you ripped her dress." A sudden murmur of agreement sweeps through the room. Ethan's jaw clenches so hard, the muscle trembles along the edge. He glares at the young waiter, as if the boy's mere existence offends him. "Watch your mouth!" But the boy doesn't back down. Neither do the guests around him. The power dynamic of the entire wedding has shifted. The groom is now the outsider. Amelia exhales shakily. Her abdomen tightens again. Pain radiates downwards like a warning. One of the women holding her touches her forehead softly. "You're sweating. We need to check your pulse." Amelia nods weakly. "It's fast. Too fast." Her voice trembles, but it has enough clarity to draw more attention. A doctor pushes through the crowd. He kneels beside her, checking her pulse, assessing her breathing, pressing her abdomen lightly. His expression tightens. This could be stress-induced contractions. She needs to be monitored immediately. Ethan lets out a harsh laugh. "She's not contracting. She's trying to ruin my wedding." She always had a flair for the dramatic entrances. The doctor looks up at him sharply. "I am a certified obstetrician, and you need to back away. Right now." The authority in his tone cuts cleanly through any lingering doubt in the room. Several people nod their heads in agreement. Some guests even applaud softly, relieved that someone finally said what needed to be said. But Ethan doesn't retreat. He takes a half step forward, still clinging to the fantasy that he dominates the room. "You don't tell me what to do at my own wedding." "It stopped being your wedding," says a woman near the aisle. Her voice trembled with anger. "The moment you assaulted a pregnant woman." The word rings out again. Assault. It roots itself in the air with undeniable weight. Ethan feels it. He hears the cameras. He sees the faces around him harden. He snaps back. I didn't assault her. She provoked me. She shouldn't have been here in the first place. The doctor interrupts. Nothing justifies endangering a pregnancy. Amelia's breath hitches again. A sharp pain grips her abdomen, and she instinctively hunches over. The doctor stabilizes her immediately. That's enough. She is not safe here. Someone in the crowd finally yells what everyone has been thinking. Call the police. The ballroom erupts into renewed chaos. Voices rise. Phones dial emergency services. People push toward the exits to clear space. The groom's family looks horrified, not by Amelia's suffering, but by the public spectacle now associated with their name. Ethan looks around in disbelief. His wedding, his image, his carefully orchestrated life is crumbling right in front of him. And the worst part is, he still thinks he can save it. He raises his chin and declares loudly, Do what you want. None of you understand the truth. But the truth is already in the room. It is in the videos. It is in the witnesses. It is in the sound of the ripping satin that echoes through a ballroom that we'll never forget. It is in the silence that follows his words. A silence colder and heavier than anything the wedding has heard thus far. The silence that comes just before everything finally turns against him. The ballroom feels heavier with every passing second, as if the very air is turning solid. Guests are no longer whispering. They are watching. All eyes follow the shaky rise and fall of Amelia's chest as she tries to regulate her breathing. Her torn midnight blue satin dress clings to her skin in shreds. The elegant woman who walked through the doors minutes ago now looks like she has been dragged through a storm she never asked for. Her pain paints the room with a raw honesty no one can ignore. Someone near the back drops a fork. The small metallic sound is enough to break the silence. The tension that follows is immediate. A dozen phones raise higher. Guests begin checking their screens, their faces shifting from confusion to shock and to outrage. A young woman gasps loudly. It's already online. Someone is live streaming the whole thing. In seconds, more screens light up. A middle-aged man murmurs, This clip already has 20,000 views. How is that possible? Another voice replies, Because everyone just watched a groom assault his pregnant ex-wife at his own wedding. The words cut across the room like a blade. Ethan stiffens. His face drains of color. He whirls on the crowd and rasps, Turn that off. This is private. You do not have permission to film. His order accomplishes nothing. No one listens. If anything, the cameras tilt higher. A guest speaks calmly but firmly. You made it public the moment you laid hands on her. Amelia curls inward as another wave of pain grips her abdomen. The doctor kneeling beside her takes her pulse again. His expression darkens. She is under extreme stress. We need to get her out of here. But before anyone can move her, a notification sound rings out across the ballroom. Then another. Then a dozen more. The viral spread hits like a shockwave. People stare at their phones as headlines begin to populate social media in real time. CEO assaults pregnant woman at luxury wedding. Groom rips ex-wife's dress in front of hundreds. Violence. Caught on camera. During high-profile ceremony. Screens flash throughout the ballroom like lightning. Olivia covers her mouth in disbelief. For the first time since Amelia entered, the bride looks scared. Not for Amelia, but for herself. Ethan tries again. You are all overreacting. The video is being misinterpreted. A young man near the aisle holds his phone higher and declares with icy clarity. It shows exactly what happened. There is no misinterpretation. Ethan lunges toward him. Give me that. Several guests immediately step between them. The groom stops, looking at the barrier of strangers now raised in unity against him. His authority crumbles with the realization that he no longer controls the room, or the narrative, or even the event bearing his name. Amelia tilts her head up, her eyes glazed with pain, but still fighting for breath. She tries to speak, but her voice comes out in fragments. "Please, someone help me sit up. I can't breathe." The doctor tries to adjust her position. As he raises her shoulders slightly, fresh tears roll down her cheeks. Her whole abdomen tightens again. The contractions are not regular, but they are strong enough to terrify everyone watching. The doctor looks around urgently. "We need the ambulance now." A waiter responds from the corner. "It's already on the way." The ballroom has become a pressure cooker. Every second feels like it could explode. Guests retreat from Ethan and Olivia, as if the couple carries a contagion. The lavish decorations now seem absurd, in contrast to the suffering unfolding in the center of the room. A woman in a floral dress whispers, "I can't believe he did that." To her, and she's carrying his child. Another replies, "No wonder she left him. Imagine what she endured in private." The whispers begin to grow, forming into truths that sting more than any headline. Ethan hears it all. His breathing becomes ragged. Anger pulses beneath his skin, but it is overshadowed by panic. He keeps glancing toward the camera crews stalled at the ballroom doors, drawn by the flood of online views. He hisses to Olivia, "Fix your face, we need to stay calm." But Olivia shakes her head. Her voice trembles. "This can't be happening. My father is going to see this. The press, everyone." Ethan snaps back. "It's not my fault she showed up looking for drama." The room erupts in indignation, just as Amelia's body gives way again. Her hand slips from her belly. Her head falls forward. Her breathing becomes shallow. The doctor's voice rises urgently. "Stay with me. Look at me. Keep your eyes open." Amelia tries, but her eyelids flutter. The pain resurges, deeper and heavier, as if her own body is pleading with her to get away from this place. She gasps. It hurts too much. A woman kneeling beside her whispers, "Stay with us. You're not alone. Help is coming." But help is still minutes away. Minutes feel like hours inside a crumbling wedding. A phone rings again. Then another. Guests recoil as another headline spreads. Court records reveal protection order filed weeks before wedding. Amelia hears that. Her eyes open slightly. Fear, humiliation, and exhaustion flicker together. She never wanted the world to know she had sought protection. She never wanted her private suffering to be exposed like this. But now everything is spilling out. The truth is flowing faster than anyone can stop it. Ethan looks furious. "These are lies. She fabricated those papers to punish me." The doctor snaps back. "Enough. She's in a medical emergency. You need to back away." Ethan refuses. "I'm not leaving her side." A voice rings out from across the ballroom. "You should have thought of that before you ripped her dress." Every guest whirls toward the entrance, but no one is walking in yet. That moment is still coming. Before it happens, the tension reaches its breaking point. Amelia tries to sit up again. Her body shakes violently. The doctor stabilizes her, but even he cannot hide his concern. She whispers, "Please, I want to leave. I can't stay here." He nods quickly. "We're getting you out. Just breathe, in and out." His hands are shaking. The torn satin slips through her fingers. The humiliation burns her skin more fiercely than the pain, and then her body folds inward. Her head drops onto the doctor's shoulder. The room erupts in cries of alarm. Someone shouts for ice. Another person calls for space. The doctor raises his voice above the chaos. "She is losing consciousness. Clear a path. Now." The ballroom explodes into movement. Chairs are shoved aside. People rush to clear a path out. The viral recordings continue, capturing every frantic second. Ethan stands in the center of it all, helpless and furious, watching his entire world collapse like the satin he ripped. And just as Amelia sinks deeper into the fog, the doors swing open again. What walks in next will decide everything. The lies have crumbled, and the truth is walking in. The ballroom doors fly open with a force that cuts the chaos like a blade. The sound is not loud, but it carries a weight that demands attention. Guests whirl around at once. Conversations die mid-sentence. Even the paramedics rushing down the aisle pause for a half-breath. Something shifts in the air, a change so abrupt and immediate that even Ethan feels it. A tall man strides into the ballroom. His suit is a deep navy blue that seems to absorb the chandelier light, and his polished shoes strike the floor in slow, deliberate paces. His presence doesn't shout. It radiates. Authority moves with him like a shadow. His gaze sweeps the room, taking in the scattered chairs, the broken glass, the torn midnight blue satin around Amelia's trembling body, and the panic that writhes on every face. It takes only a second for the guests to recognize him. Gabriel Ross, the criminal defense attorney who has dismantled empires in court, the man whose face appears on national broadcasts whenever a high-profile case arises, Amelia's cousin, who quietly disappeared from her life after the divorce, not because he abandoned her, but because she told him she needed space until she felt safe again. He is here now, and he looks far from calm. His eyes fix on Amelia, semi-conscious on the marble floor, held by the doctor and several guests. Her hair is across her shoulders. Her breathing is shallow. Her midnight blue satin dress hangs in ruined strips around her body. Rage flickers in Gabriel's eyes, not loud or wild, but controlled, lethal, and cold. He walks directly to the center of the room. Each step tightens the tension further. Ethan turns to face him, masking fear behind irritation. "What are you doing here?" Ethan demands. "This is a private event." Gabriel doesn't bother to answer the statement. His voice cuts the air with sharp clarity. "Amelia, can you hear me?" She slightly lifts her head, her eyelids fluttering. "Gabriel, please, I hurt." He kneels by her side, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. His tone softens only for her. "I'm here. You are safe now." Then he rises, and the softness vanishes. His voice hardens to steel. "Who touched her?" A tremor runs through the crowd. Eyes dart toward Ethan. No one speaks, but the silence itself answers. Ethan sneers. "Don't start your theatrics. She fell. She exaggerated everything." Gabriel steps closer, not aggressively, but with a confidence that pulls the oxygen from the room. "I saw the video on the way here." Ethan's face drains of color. Gabriel continues, his voice quiet, almost silent, but terrifying in its certainty. "You ripped the dress off a pregnant woman. Then you stood over her while she couldn't breathe." Gasps ripple through the room like rolling thunder. Ethan tries to laugh, but the sound cracks. People record everything nowadays. They love to distort things. You know how the internet works. "Yes, I do," Gabriel says, and in this case, it recorded the truth. He reaches into his suit's inner pocket and pulls out a folded document. Guests lean forward, drawn to the moment like moths to a flame. Gabriel holds it up. "This is the temporary protection order Amelia filed 3 weeks ago, signed by Judge Molina. It immediately prohibits you from contacting her, approaching her, or subjecting her to emotional or physical stress. Right now, in front of hundreds of witnesses and dozens of cameras, you violated every single one of those conditions." Ethan's voice cracks. "She trapped me." Gabriel looks at him with an expression that could shatter stone. "She didn't trap you. She survived you." A collective gasp sweeps the ballroom. The doctor stands up to stand beside Gabriel. "She needs to go to the hospital now. She's having dangerously irregular contractions." Gabriel nods once without breaking eye contact with Ethan. "You will not go near her again." Ethan sputters. "I can explain all this. She came here to ruin my wedding. She knew what she was doing." Gabriel replies coldly. "She came because your family lured her with a fake invitation. Olivia, the bride, visibly flinches. The crowd now stares at her. Her perfect white dress suddenly looks like a costume worn by someone who has lost control of her script. Gabriel lowers his voice, but his words hit harder than any shout. This is no longer a wedding. This is a crime scene. The bride exhales a shaky breath. Gabriel, you're making this worse. Please, let's fix this quietly. Quietly, Gabriel repeats, as if savoring the absurdity of the word. You want quiet after you watched him rip the dress off his pregnant ex-wife? Ethan snaps at Olivia. You wanted this just as much as I did. Don't pretend now. The admission hits the room with brutal force. Someone gasps. Someone else whispers. She knew. The tension ignites again. Gabriel turns away from them. He kneels by Amelia once more and touches her arm gently. The ambulance is here. You'll be okay. She whispers, I want to leave. Please, get me out of here. He nods again. I won't leave you. Paramedics quickly wheel in a stretcher. The crowd parts wordlessly. The cameras record MO on every movement. The entire ballroom trembles with the knowledge that nothing can be undone. As they carefully lift Amelia onto the stretcher, she winces in pain. Her fingers clutch Gabriel's sleeve. He leans in so she can hear clearly. This ends tonight. You will never face him alone again. And with that, Amelia is wheeled out of the ballroom. The doors close behind her. All that remains is the echo of her suffering and the inevitable downfall of the man who caused it. The moment Amelia disappears through the ballroom doors on the stretcher, a heavy silence falls over the wedding. It is no longer the silence of shock. It is the silence of judgment. A silence that coils around the chandeliers, slides across the polished floor, and settles over Ethan's shoulders, like a rope waiting to tighten. Every guest is staring at him now. Every phone is still recording. Every whisper is a verdict, sharpening into a blade. Gabriel remains standing in the center of the ballroom, his navy suit absorbing the harsh glare of the lights. His sheer presence shifts the atmosphere. He is not shouting. He doesn't need to. His voice carries the weight of the law, of consequence, of a truth no one can escape. His eyes never leave Ethan. You assaulted a pregnant woman, Gabriel says, his tone slow and razor-sharp. Then you violated a restraining order, and you did it in front of hundreds of witnesses. Ethan flinches as if each word struck his skin. He tries to regain composure. He straightens his tuxedo. He lifts his chin and forces a laugh that cracks midway. Everyone is overreacting. All of you are being dramatic. It was a misunderstanding. Someone in the crowd snaps back. We saw you. That was no misunderstanding. Another voice follows. She was begging for help. A third. Her dress was shredded. You tore it. The comments accumulate like a snowball, turning into a chorus of outrage. Ethan spins in a circle, looking for support, but only finds faces twisted with disgust. Even the groom's side of the family shifts uncomfortably, avoiding his gaze. His own cousins step away from him, creating a small circle of emptiness around his feet, as if the very ground no longer wants to hold him. Ethan tries again. You don't know Amelia. She lied to all of you. She makes everything seem worse than it is. Gabriel takes a step forward. The video shows exactly what it was. You ripped her dress. You put her at medical risk. And now she's on her way to the hospital because of you. The tension ratchets up. Several women near the front row burst into angry murmurs. A man in a silver suit raises his voice and points at Ethan. If that were my wife or sister, I would have left you lying on this floor. A wave of agreement sweeps the room. Ethan's face flushes with humiliation. Gabriel picks up a microphone from a nearby stand. The sound of feedback briefly hums across the ballroom. Every guest hushes. Their eyes dart quickly toward him. He speaks calmly, but the amplification turns his voice into a force that fills every corner of the vast room. Let me make this clear. Under U.S. law, assault on a pregnant woman is an aggravating circumstance that elevates the charge. Combined with the violation of a restraining order, this becomes a felony with immediate legal consequences. The bride, Olivia, stumbles backward. "Gabriel, please, not in front of everyone." He turns to her with a look that is neither soft nor cruel. It is simply factual. This is not about embarrassment. This is about accountability, and the world is already watching. A guest shouts. The world has been watching since the first live stream. Another holds up their phone. 2 million views. Another echoes. 3 million. Ethan's eyes widen. He looks like a man realizing he is standing in the middle of a battlefield he can no longer control. "Fine. I will handle the press. I will release a statement." "You will not," Gabriel replies. "You will no longer control this narrative. The facts are already out." Still clinging to his ego, Ethan snaps back. "You think you can destroy me with a video?" Gabriel shakes his head. "No, you destroyed yourself." A thunderous murmur fills the room. Cameras flash. Someone applauds. It starts as a single, hesitant, almost uncertain clap. Then another joins, and another. In seconds, dozens of guests are applauding, not in celebration, but in solidarity with Amelia. The sound sweeps across the ballroom like a wave of judgment. Ethan's face twists with rage. "Stop clapping! Stop it immediately!" The applause only grows louder. Olivia covers her face, mascara starting to smear. "This is a disaster," she whispers to a bridesmaid. "My father is going to kill me." The bridesmaid moves away from her, unwilling to be associated with the crumbling spectacle. Gabriel raises the microphone again. "Authorities have been notified. They will be arriving shortly to take statements. I advise everyone here to remain calm and prepare to submit your videos and testimonies." Ethan steps forward angrily. "You have no right to hijack my wedding." "It stopped being your wedding," Gabriel responds, "the moment you turned it into an assault." The words hit harder than the first ones. Olivia tries to regain control. "Maybe we can fix this. Maybe if Amelia apologizes for the scene she caused and clarifies that she fell." The ballroom erupts in indignation. A woman from the groom's side yells, "She didn't fall. Your husband ripped her dress." A man snaps back. "She nearly passed out because of him." Olivia trembles. "I didn't think he would actually hurt her." Gabriel states calmly, "Intent is irrelevant. He did hurt her." Ethan attempts one last feeble defense. "I love Olivia. Everything I did was for us." The crowd groans. Someone shouts, "That's not love, that's control." The room buzzes with a charged energy, the kind of energy that precedes irreversible consequences. Guards at the ballroom entrance step forward as police sirens faintly echo from outside. The sound draws everyone's attention. Gabriel lowers the microphone. "There they are. Time to face the truth." Ethan stands still. His confidence melts. His arrogance crumbles. The fortress he thought he had built with money and image now collapses under the weight of his own actions. And when the first officer walks into the ballroom, the entire wedding exhales collectively, as if a single breath had been held for too long. Justice has arrived, and Ethan has nowhere left to hide. The officers enter the ballroom with quiet, controlled steps, but their presence detonates something inside the guests. Every conversation breaks into frantic whispers. Phones raise higher. Screens shine more intensely. If the wedding had felt like a battlefield before, it now turns into a courtroom, and the crowd transforms into a jury composed of hundreds of furious witnesses. Ethan takes a small step backward. For the first time all night, he looks smaller. His tuxedo, once impeccable and imposing, now seems too tight, gripped by sweat and fear. The officers approach him, but do not yet speak. They are watching, assessing. Their eyes move from the broken glasses to the torn satin on the floor, then to the guests who still wear the shock like fresh wounds. Gabriel stands tall near the center of the room. His presence anchors the chaos. When the lead officer signals him to speak, he steps forward with a calmness that holds more power than any shout. There are hundreds of witnesses here, dozens of recordings. A pregnant woman left this ballroom with a medical emergency, and the man responsible is right there. Gasps spread. The officers nod. One pulls a small recorder from his belt. Ethan finally breaks. Responsible? You're misrepresenting this. She came here to cause trouble. She humiliated me in front of my family. She wanted this spectacle. A woman in a green dress yells, "You ripped her dress!" A man adds sharply, "You stood over her while she was suffering." A voice from the back echoes, "You told people not to help her." And suddenly the room ignites with one accusation after another. She begged you to stop. She could barely breathe. You tried to lie even when she collapsed. You called her dramatic while she was contracting. Each voice grows louder, more potent, more confident. In the span of a minute, the crowd turns into an unstoppable wave of truth crashing down on him. Ethan swallows hard. His hands tremble. You are all overreacting. You act like you know what goes on between us. You don't. Gabriel steps close, his expression unreadable, but charged with contained fury. We don't need to know everything. We only need to know what we saw. And what you did was not a mistake. It was violence. The officers exchange a look. One begins taking statements. Another collects phones from volunteers, who hand them over willingly with shaking fingers. It is not vengeance. It is relief. The relief of finally being able to expose something that should never have been concealed. Meanwhile, the social media storm outside the ballroom continues to grow like a wildfire. Guests continue to update their screens in disbelief. 4 million views, 5 million. It's on national news. My God, this is everywhere. A reporter who managed to sneak past security stands near the entrance. His camera is already rolling. Ethan sees him and explodes. "Turn that off. I did not give you permission to film me." The reporter replies calmly. "You lost control of that when you assaulted your ex-wife." Ethan lunges, but an officer steps between them. "Sir, keep your hands still." The force of the order stops him cold. Beads of sweat purl on his forehead. His breathing becomes shallow. He looks around desperately for support. But his own parents look toward the floor. His friends turn away. Even Olivia, the bride he thought would stand by him, is trembling near the corner, mascara streaking down her face as she whispers into her phone. "Dad, everything is falling apart. Everything." Gabriel glances at her, but says nothing. She is part of this, and consequences will find her in due time. The officer finally addresses Ethan directly. "Sir, we need your version of events." Ethan straightens his posture, clinging to the last threads of dignity. "Fine, I'll explain. She provoked me. She showed up uninvited. She tried to ruin my wedding." The officer asks, "And you responded by ripping her dress?" "That's not what happened," Ethan insists. "The fabric tore because she pulled away." A guest shouts, "Liar!" Another yells, "We saw your hands on her!" The officer raises his hand, silencing the room. "We have enough testimony to continue this investigation." Someone in the crowd whispers, "He's done." Someone else replies, "He brought this on himself." The weight of those words hits Ethan harder than anything the officers have said. His face contorts with rage and humiliation. His voice cracks. "You are all judging me without knowing the whole story." Gabriel replies quietly, "The whole story will come out, starting tonight." The officers signal Ethan to move aside for further questioning. His panic becomes visible. His movements are jerky. His voice trembles. "This is my wedding. You can't do this here." The officer responds, "Your actions made it a crime scene." The room erupts again, this time not with chaos, but with the grim certainty that justice has finally begun its work. People step away from Ethan, as if he is radioactive. The lights feel harsher. His tuxedo feels tighter. The cameras feel closer. and in the echoes of the room a truth becomes painfully clear. The groom is no longer the center of this wedding. He is the villain of his downfall, and the world has already chosen a side. The moment the agents separate Ethan from the crowd, a new kind of silence settles over the ballroom. It is no longer the silence of fear. It is the silence of justice tightening its grip. Guests watch with wide eyes as the man who once controlled every room he entered now finds himself trapped inside a circle of authority he cannot intimidate, charm, or buy his way out of. The lead officer begins speaking with calm precision. "Sir, we need you to stay where you are. Multiple witnesses have reported an assault. We are collecting evidence from the scene." Ethan's voice cracks. "Assault? That's absurd. I told you." She fell, but the second officer steps forward, holding a phone handed to him by a guest. The video begins to play. The ballroom hears the sound of tearing again, the gasp, the scream, the choked plea, the unmistakable truth. The lead officer's expression hardens. "We have visual confirmation." Ethan tries to reach for the phone instinctively, but the officer pulls it back. "I note the evidence." His breathing quickens. His eyes dart wildly around the room, looking for someone, anyone who might defend him. But every face he looks at is cold now, distant, finished. Even those who used to admire him refuse to meet his gaze. The officer continues. "You are being detained for further questioning related to assault and violation of a protection order." Those words drop like a hammer. Olivia gasps, covering her mouth with a trembling hand. "Detained? Here, in front of everyone?" a guest murmurs. "Perfect timing. He did it in front of everyone." Another adds, "He deserves it." Meanwhile, down the hall, paramedics are Amelia down the hotel corridor. The bright hospital-style lights flicker over her as the stretcher glides. Her breathing is shallow, her dress still torn, her hair clinging to her damp cheeks. The sound of the crowd fades behind her, replaced by the steady rhythm of the paramedics' voices. "Keep her conscious. Check her blood pressure again. She is having stress-induced contractions. We need to stabilize her," Amelia whispers, barely audible. "Please, my baby. Just save my baby." A paramedic gently squeezes her hand. "We are doing everything we can. Stay with us." Back in the ballroom, Gabriel stands as a wall between Ethan and the guests. His tone is deadly calm. "She is on her way to the hospital because of you." Ethan laughs bitterly, his voice tinged with hysteria. "Because of me? She came here to put on a show. She wanted attention." Gabriel's eyes narrow. "She wanted closure. What you gave her instead was violence." The agents move closer. "Sir, we need to escort you outside." Ethan shakes his head violently. "No, I am not leaving my own wedding. You won't drag me out like a criminal." But the crowd answers for him. A woman near the aisle says, "Then you shouldn't have acted like one." A man adds, "Take him away." The agents place a guiding hand near Ethan's arm. He recoils, panicked. "Don't touch me." The lead officer's tone hardens. "Then walk, now." Ethan looks around the ballroom one last time. The crystal chandeliers gleam above him, reflecting not celebration anymore, but disgrace. He sees no friendship, no loyalty, no sympathy. Only judgment. Only truth. Only consequences. As he is escorted toward the exit, the guests instinctively step aside, leaving a clear path like the parting of a sea to which he no longer belongs. Phones follow him. Cameras record every twitch of panic on his face. A reporter shouts, "You assaulted your ex-wife. Do you have anything to say about her condition?" Ethan snaps, "Get that camera out of my face." But the officer puts a hand on his shoulder and keeps him moving. Outside the ballroom, reporters swarm the corridor. Security struggles to hold them back, but the headlines are already forming like flames catching in the wind. CEO detained after assault at his own wedding. Police question Groom in shocking viral incident. Protection order violated at public event. The world is writing his story, and none of it is the story Ethan wanted. Meanwhile, the ambulance carrying Amelia speeds through the city streets. The siren wails into the night, bouncing off buildings and cutting through traffic. Amelia clings to the edge of the stretcher, her breaths short and desperate. The contractions pulse like waves getting stronger. "Stay with us," a paramedic repeats. "We are almost at the hospital." Her eyes blur. She sees Gabriel's face in her memory, firm and certain. She sees the ballroom spinning. She hears the tearing of the satin again, the humiliation, the fear, the pain. A tear rolls down her cheek. "I didn't want him to hurt the baby. I didn't want this." "We know," the paramedic says. "You are safe now, but safety is still minutes away. Minutes feel like an eternity when a child's future hangs on every breath." Back at the hotel, Ethan is escorted out a side exit where police cars wait. His wedding is left behind. His empire is shaking. His image is burning. A reporter shouts one last question. "Do you regret what you did to Amelia?" Ethan stands still. His throat works, but no words come out. The agents put a hand on his back and guide him into the car. The door closes. The camera flashes dim. And for the first time, Ethan realizes that the consequences he thought he could outrun have already caught up to him. Amelia is on her way to the hospital. He is on his way to questioning. The world has seen the truth, and the night is far from over. The police car carrying Ethan has barely turned the corner when the consequences begin. News vans swarm the hotel entrance like hungry predators, their antennae rising to the sky. Reporters shout into microphones with breathless urgency, relaying minute-by-minute updates. Inside the ballroom, guests repeatedly refresh their screens, watching the world react in real time. What was a wedding an hour ago has become the nation's most explosive scandal. Within minutes, the first financial alert appears. A guest gasps and shows her phone to those around her. His company's stock just dropped 5%. That fast. Another checks his tablet, eyes wide. 9% now. Still falling. Rumors begin circulating like wildfire. Investors are pulling out. Board members are calling emergency meetings. Corporate lawyers are drafting statements in panic. The empire Ethan spent years cultivating is dissolving like sugar in boiling water. Meanwhile, across town, Gabriel enters the hospital lobby, his jaw clenched and his phone buzzing incessantly. He ignores all calls except one. The chairman of Ethan's own board of directors. The voice on the other end is furious. "We've just suspended him, effective immediately. This is catastrophic." Gabriel does not hide his satisfaction. "Actions have consequences. Do you know how many contracts we are about to lose because of this video?" the chairman demands. "Half our partners want to distance themselves. This is a pure disaster. It's also moral," Gabriel responds before ending the call. In the emergency room, doctors quickly wheel Amelia into a monitoring bay. Machines constantly beep, tracking her and the baby's heartbeat. Her breathing is still shallow but steadier than before. A nurse adjusts the blanket over her torn satin dress, careful not to disturb her. Amelia whispers, "Is my baby okay?" The doctor answers calmly. "The baby's heartbeat is strong. Your contractions are stress-induced. You need rest, hydration, and observation. You are safe now." Safe. The word feels unreal, but it comforts her enough to smooth her trembling. Tears slip down her temples. Tears not just of fear, but of release, of surviving something she never should have had to endure. Back at the hotel, Olivia's father storms into the ballroom, his face purple with rage. "Where is my daughter?" His voice booms across the room. Guests scatter. He finds her huddled in a corner, mascara running, her perfect white dress crumpled. She tries to speak, but her father cuts her off. Do you understand the humiliation you've brought upon our family? His voice is low, dangerous. This wedding has become a global disaster. She shakes her head, sobbing. I didn't know he would actually hurt her. I didn't expect him to go that far. Her father snapped. Ignorance is not an excuse. He pulls out his phone, scrolling quickly. Our business partners are canceling deals. Sponsors are pulling out. We are being dragged into his scandal. A bridesmaid whispers from behind. Everyone is being dragged into this. Meanwhile, the viral video surges from millions of views to tens of millions. News commentators dissect every frame. Lawyers debate charges on live television. Hashtags spike. Memes appear. Threads multiply. Public opinion grows more virulent by the minute. Inside a sleek boardroom miles away, 14 executives stare at a massive projection screen showing the viral video. The room is tense. Someone clears their throat. Shareholders want a vote. If we don't act, the company could collapse. Another executive says, no sugarcoating. We remove him. The motion passes unanimously. Ethan is officially ousted from his own corporation before he even reaches the police station. Even worse news follows. A major investor releases a public statement. We condemn any act of violence. We are withdrawing all funding effective immediately. The announcement shakes the financial world. Headlines erupt. Commentators declare Ethan's career is over. The collapse of his empire is no longer a possibility. It is a certainty. In the hospital, Amelia lies silently under soft white lights. The room feels too quiet for what she just survived. She closes her eyes as exhaustion washes over her, but her peace is fragile. A nurse gently approaches. There's someone here who wants to see you. Amelia tenses. Who? Gabriel walks into the room. His expression softens when he sees her, but his jaw is still clenched with the anger still burning beneath the surface. How are you feeling? She attempts a smile. Alive. He exhales slowly, as if releasing hours of held breath. Good, because the world is finally seeing him for what he is. Everything is collapsing for him. Amelia's eyelashes tremble. I didn't want anyone destroyed. I just wanted him to stop. Gabriel sits beside her, his voice firm but soft. You didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. And no one can shield him from the truth now. Elsewhere in the city, the police car carrying Ethan pulls into the precinct. He looks at the waiting cameras through the window. Reporters swarm like vultures. Microphones lunge forward. The officers open the door. He steps out. Flashes explode. Questions fly. Did you assault your pregnant ex-wife? Do you deny the video evidence? What about your company firing you? Are you aware she is in the hospital under emergency care? His face contorts. His words stumble. His empire has crumbled before he comprehended the depth of his own cruelty. Back in the hospital room, Amelia places a hand over her belly as the baby's heartbeat gently pulses through the monitor. The world outside is burning. But here, in this quiet moment, she whispers a promise. You are safe now. I am safe now. The consequences are no longer hers to bear. They belong to the man who tried to break her. And by dawn, every shattered piece of his life will remind him of the truth he tried to silence. The morning after the gala felt unreal. The city hummed with headlines that blared across every radio, every news channel, every bright screen. Amelia's face appeared next to Ethan's mugshot as reporters recounted his downfall, her disappearance, her miraculous survival, and the empire that had cracked under the weight of the truth. She watched only a few minutes before turning the television off. She didn't need the world to tell her what she already knew. She had lived every second of the nightmare. She had earned every breath of this new dawn. By noon, she sat across from a detective in a quiet office. Gabriel waited outside with Emma, the baby, now born and named, who was coloring in a small notebook. Amelia's hands were steady as she gave her statement. She spoke clearly, recounting the insurance policy, the recordings, the night on the cliffs, and the years of silence that had followed. She did not cry. She did not shake. She felt the weight of the truth slotting into place like a final puzzle piece, completing the picture no one could deny. When she finished, the detective leaned back, visibly moved. "You survived something most people never walk away from," he said, "and you came back to finish what he tried to end. You should be proud." Amelia nodded softly. "I didn't come back for pride. I came back for my daughter." Outside the precinct, sunlight greeted her like a warm hand stroking her cheek. The air smelled clean, serene. Gabriel raised a hand in greeting as Emma ran toward her with big, bright eyes. Mommy, did the police catch the bad man?" Amelia knelt and hugged her daughter. "Yes," she whispered, "and he can't hurt us anymore." It was the first time she had said those words out loud. They tasted like freedom. Over the next few weeks, Ethan's world collapsed with a speed that astonished even those who had doubted him. His company cut ties. Board members resigned. Shareholders held emergency meetings. More victims of his manipulation came forward. Prosecutors piled charges against him until even the most powerful lawyers refused to take his case. His attempts to defame Amelia only made his situation worse. The evidence kept coming. His lies unraveled thread by thread. In court, Ethan looked smaller, thinner, his confidence stripped bare. When Amelia took the stand, he refused to meet her eyes. The jury listened in stony silence as she recounted the night he pushed her. When the verdict was read, a chill ran through the courtroom. Guilty on all counts. Ethan closed his eyes as the sentence fell on him. Years in prison. No chance of parole. No power to manipulate. No empire to rule. No control over the woman he once thought he owned. As he was escorted out, Amelia felt no triumph, only closure. A door slamming shut behind her with a finality she had long needed. Selena, Olivia's new name for the context of this section, received her own sentence, reduced only because she cooperated fully and exposed more of Ethan's plans. She wept throughout the hearing. Amelia listened in silence. Forgiveness was not possible, but ending the cycle was. When it was finally over, Amelia walked out of the courthouse with Emma by the hand, and Gabriel walking quietly on her other side. Cameras flashed, but she kept her gaze steady, focused on the future that waited beyond the noise. That afternoon, she drove to the coast alone. She needed space. She needed to breathe. She parked near the cliff she had avoided for 6 long years. For a moment, she stayed inside the car, gripping the wheel as an old fear rose like a ghost inside her. But she forced the door open. She stepped onto the gravel. The wind pressed against her face. Cool, but no longer cruel. The ocean below roared, familiar and powerful. Waves crashed against the rocks, the same way they did the night she fell. She walked slowly to the stone barrier, her heart pounding. She put her hands on the rough surface and looked down at the dark water that had once swallowed her. She remembered the cold, the silence, the moment she thought she would never breathe again. And yet, she was there now, alive, warm, steady, unbroken. She closed her eyes and whispered to the memory of the woman she used to be. "You made it. I came back for you." A small jewel gleamed in her hand, a silver pendant she had worn years ago. The one she lost the night Ethan tried to kill her. It had washed ashore months later, found by a fisherman, and anonymously left on her doorstep. She held it to her heart. Then she gently dropped it into the ocean, not as a symbol of loss, but as a gesture of release. The wind softened, The sky brightened with the first pale glow of sunset. Amelia lifted her face to the light. She was not the woman who fell. She was the woman who rose. When she returned home, Emma ran into her arms. Gabriel smiled. Their little home felt safe, full, alive. Amelia exhaled deeply. Peace settled in her chest. The story that began with betrayal, fear, and darkness ended not with revenge, but with rebirth. She had reclaimed her life. She had forged a new path. She had found her place again. And as she tucked her daughter into bed that night, she whispered the truth she had fought so hard to earn. We are free.